Hi there to all my deep thinking philosophical friends who watch these videos. Well, we have a lot to think about right now. First, let me say I like what our president is doing during this Chinese virus, coronavirus, COVID-19 scare. I think these daily briefings are fantastic. It has really been good to get the information out to everyone and how he conducts them, how he lets the experts speak, and even the nice things he says about the governors and working with them and working with people in Congress. All of that bodes very well for him. As far as all the policies go, I don't agree, but I don't think he has any choice. And if anybody else is going to be in charge, I'd much, 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 much rather have it be Donald Trump as our president. When I say I don't agree with everything that's going on, I don't think these lockdowns are a good idea. But I'll get to that in a moment. Let me just say something he did this week that I really liked. By the way, the person on Fox that I like the most, I watch One American News a lot to get their 1 hour news summaries. These are excellent. Has been Laura Ingraham. I really, really like what she's done. And she started to bring up and interview people with this French study that was done with hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. The combination of those two, amazing, amazing results. And yeah, it was a small study, but what's really nice about this is that these drugs don't require FDA approval. They have a long, long history of being used. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what I took when I took some trips to South Africa and to Africa, where I had to be protected for malaria. So you'd have to take these drugs. I don't remember what the names of the drugs were, but I'm pretty sure that was it. I didn't die. I'm still here. But anyway, I think that's great because I was a little, okay, they're just doing their job, okay? But in both cases, when Deborah Birx and Anthony Fauci were asked about these drugs, they took the typical scientist approach. Well, we have to have the protocols. It's anecdotal evidence. I'm sorry. This so much reminds me of the climate alarmism thing. When you're studying one thing, you're only looking at one problem area, and you're not looking at the whole effect, okay? If you can get something that requires, say, people to not have as much of a need for ventilators, do it, okay? What does it hurt? Turns out, I've learned from the Laura Ingraham show, she's interviewed some doctors, this one particular doctor in New York. I mean, they're using it. Well, of course they should use it. To tell you the truth, I wish I had my own supply on hand, because I've already decided, not that I expect to get this virus, but if I do, there's like no way I'm going to a hospital. I'll just take care of it here by myself. That's the way I do it. I've had a lot of experience in this area because as my husband, Harold Rosen, as he got older, and I discussed this with him, he called me his doctor. It's like, I'm not having you getting tortured in hospitals and treatments and this and that. And he didn't. We never went to the hospital. I took care of him here, along with his son Robert, and he had a great life for the last year after his stroke, and he had I'm pretty sure multiple heart attacks, and then he died alone with me in peace here at the house. And I was very grateful for the doctor I do have, because I talked to him and I said, I don't want any treatment. I don't want him to have to come in, and he understood. So anyway, I feel very strongly about that. I'm just kind of cringe when I hear, we gotta have all these ventilators, we gotta have all these ventilators. Really? Why? Why so many ventilators? There may be a few people that need ventilators, but most people are gonna be okay. We're freaking everybody out. But that's another issue. But here's the thing. Everybody has their own fears. Everybody has their own things that bother them about this. And I recommend, and the only reason I recommend it to you, dear listener, is because you listen to my channel, and these are just life lessons I've done for myself. And I'm always learning, trying to always learn, always grow. You got to try to figure, if you're feeling afraid, ask yourself, what is bothering you? So for example, none of the news bothered me until about a week ago, well, less than a week ago, I heard Gavin Newsom, our governor in California, say something like, people over the age of 65, well, as you know, I'm 66, have to like stay indoors or whatever. And I got a little freaked out for a while. I mean, that really, really bothered me, and I kept working to see how I could reframe this in my mind. It suddenly felt like age discrimination. Now, as those of you that watched my video that I posted yesterday of exercising at the beach, I'm extremely healthy. I haven't been sick in a long time. I take very, very good care of myself. But to put me in that category and to put like Devin, who was at the beach yesterday with me, and she's almost 67. My stepson Robert is going to be 70 later this week. I mean, all of us are very active, very healthy, and to just put us all in a category like we somehow have to be taken care of. So please, I know all of you are nice out there. I do not react well to people saying, are you okay? I hate that. I really don't like that, okay? I'm fine. I'm more than fine. I don't want anybody worrying about me. I'd rather be dead than be that way. For me, that I realize is very important to me. Wow, I'm really getting off on a rant here. But anyway, so one of the things that has, well, we can talk about a lot of things, but here's one of the things as I watched my husband decline and then eventually pass away. I thought, I actually think it's important to decide what makes life worth living for you. Now, obviously, if you have children at home or people that depend on you, that changes the calculus. You really want to be there for them. So I get that. And you may worry, like, what if something happens to me, then I can't take care of these people that I love. So that's different. But if you're like me, where I've made sure that the people I care about are in my will or whatever, I really don't, I'm okay if I die. Do you know what freedom that gives me? I mean, I know dying is just like going to sleep. I don't know what was going on in 1950, say. Why do you say 1950? Because I did not exist in 1950. My husband was having a great life. He was doing things. Where was I? I don't know. But I trust it was okay. My parents were alive in 1950. Lots of people were doing things in 1950. I did not exist. And I was okay. So after I go, I think of it the same way. So I'll be outside of time, whatever that means. it'd be like being asleep. I mean, completely asleep. I guess like being under anesthesia. It just doesn't bother me. But the reason I say that's important, I mean, why I think that's so important is if you can face your worst fear, then that fear doesn't have such a hold on you anymore. So like for my husband, he's very brilliant, as some of you know. The father of the geostationary satellite, just total genius dude. I mean, it was such a fun being with him, such an active mind. And for him, he didn't really mind if he couldn't move around that much, even though he had been very physically active. It didn't really bother him, but it did. But as soon as his brain wasn't very good, he's done. He was done. He got his last patent in for a gravitational wave satellite detection system, and it was a patent at Boeing. So he got that in, and he really wanted to work on that. He was all excited about it. And after he did that, and then his brain, just the last month, he became like a little boy. He was kind of forgetting facts and stuff. But he was done. He was done because having his brain was important. So I thought to myself, what's important to me? And, well, I love doing like gymnastics kind of things, as you know. I recognize I might not be able to do that, but if I cannot take care of myself, if I cannot walk around the house, get my own food, do my own grooming, and use my brain, do things like make these videos, I'm done. I'm done. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm done. So as I look ahead, I mean, how much time do I have? I have 2 decades, maybe 3. I think for sure I have 2, unless something happens. But maybe 3, and if I'm really, really lucky, maybe 4 decades. Maybe I'll live to be 106, because I am doing everything I can in terms of anti-aging technologies to get there. But I'm not it's not because I'm afraid of dying. This is just a game. This is something fun to do, and this is what I want to do. So anyway, I know I'm getting off the topic, but I actually think it's important. So here were the things that really set me off and bothered me a lot. And I had to work to reframe it, work to be not upset about it. And that was the age thing, being treated differently, and then nanny state stuff. I hate that. I hate nanny state stuff. I've always felt that way. I don't like the government deciding what drugs I can and cannot take. I mean, I don't even like that we have to have prescriptions. Why can't I get my own drugs? I can read and do the research and have it on hand. I want to have these drugs, the hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin on hand, just in case I need it. But I don't know how to get it. But I like to have my own little pharmacy. So even when I was a Democrat, I always liked Orrin Hatch from Utah, because he did not allow on supplements people to put or restrictions on supplements. We can get that. So anyway, I don't think they are having any lockdowns in Texas. No lockdowns in Texas. So what is it with the Democratic governors? Gavin Newsom. You notice he said outdoor exercise, he has not stopped that yet. Because I don't think he'll get reelected if he does that. This is California. Look at our beautiful weather. This is an outdoor state. People do things outdoors. As I mentioned, or put in a pinned comment to I had a great time at the beach yesterday, but as I was leaving, We talked to one of the guys, and he said, and also we got a text, or Devin got a text and told me about it, that the city of Santa Monica is going to shut everything down at the beach. I mean, not at all the equipment. They're going to take down the rope. They're going to take down the volleyball nets. It's like, why? There is no evidence that outdoor activity like that hurts anybody. So I was reading, and I'm going to pin this article that was somebody wrote. Some guy in Silicon Valley had done a really, really good analysis. So here's one of the things. And this is what I want to understand. When I say understand, I realize I can't fight this. This is the human brain. This is what we do. Okay, so I have to find a way to navigate my way through this, and so do you. Because this is the world we live in. It says, local governments and politicians are inflicting massive harm and disruption with little evidence to support their draconian edicts. Every local government is in a race to one-up each other in authoritarian city ordinances to show us who has more abundance of caution. But Texas isn't doing that. So I might work with Devin to put some rings in my backyard, because I can't depend on the outside world. I've got to figure out ways to get around these things. As soon as I do, and I'm unfortunately in a situation where I can do that. As soon as I can do that, I will reframe things in my mind, find out what bothers me about this, because we're not going to fight this madness. It's worldwide. It's global. I don't think there's good evidence, and smart people are looking at this. I don't think there's good evidence to support all these quarantine type efforts. I like closing the borders. I like what President Trump has done. And one of the things that I like too about having Trump as our president is I feel like he can put all these pieces together in a way that others don't. It reminds me so much of the whole climate change issue, where you have scientists, we need to stop putting out carbon dioxide. But what the heck do they know about the importance of energy and the electricity grid and to our economy, to people's lives? They don't know anything about that. They're looking at one narrow aspect and treating that like that's the only issue. And then they all start repeating and scaring each other and saying the same things over and over again and freaking everybody out. Not me, but freaking a lot of people out. So I just refuse to be freaked out. I can't stop my brain from being temporarily freaked out, but I'm not staying there. Now here's an interesting thing that also came from this article. COVID-19 is facilitated in confined settings in closed spaces. Globally, 80 to 85% of all cases are mild. They will not require a hospital visit and home-based treatment. And home-based treatment or no treatment is effective. So why is everybody getting freaked out? Why are we shutting down our economy? So Friday morning, this big lockdown issue had come out. But I did read it carefully, and it said outdoor exercise was okay. So I decided I'm going to the beach. But I will admit, I felt a bit apprehensive. But the thought popped in my head, treat it like an adventure. Let me just go see what's there. And then I texted back and forth with Devin and Brittany, and they were going to be there. So I'm really glad we went. it meant a lot to me as just kind of like, we're going to live our lives. And it was good. It was really good. Here's another thing with this lockdown or isolation. People are using a lot of the internet. They're relying on the internet. They're relying on communication. They're relying on distribution networks. They're relying on food distribution. They're relying on hospitals. Hello, if we did not have a reliable electricity grid, if we did not have adequate energy, if we had adopted any of these green policies, we'd be in big, big trouble. Big trouble. The only thing that makes this work for us is that we're connected online. You're listening to me online. I'm communicating, so we're not so isolated. Also, think about all the things they want to do with mass transit. How are you going to do social distancing with mass transit? I mean, if you have an individual car, you can get in your car. So I'm hoping some good comes out of that with this. But we've got to find a way to get around some of this. Now, Kathy gave me permission to tell her that she does my hair. How you like my hair, Kathy? I think it looks pretty good. So she said if they decided to shut down businesses, she'll act like it's prohibition. She'll put the curtain down like the business is closed, but she'll let us in the back door. We've just got to figure out what we can do, okay, through this madness, so we can still live our lives. Because our brains can tell us weird things. So one of the things, and I'm really glad we did this, we celebrated my stepson's birthday early. And I'm really glad. So I went with my brother Doug, my sister-in-law Jera, and my stepson Robert. And we like to go to The Void in Santa Monica. It's a virtual reality, so we've done them all. I love virtual reality, especially the ones with heights, because you can train yourself. But it's weird. Your brain gets these signals. I mean, especially the Jumanji one. Oh my God. It was like, I knew that I'm walking on a floor, but it looks like I'm on a ledge and this crocodile's getting your legs. And I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna fall down? But the worst was, okay, so you're standing up there and you're like on a little ledge and you're up in the clouds and your 3 other people with you are separated. And then there's like these little monsters or whatever creatures are coming at you. So it's like you're gonna fall. And I'm like, okay, I was getting freaked out. So I said, it's just all an illusion. It's all an illusion. And what helped me kind of snap out of it was I could hear my brother laughing. You could hear me say that. So your brain can play tricks with you. You just have to keep telling yourself it's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. Don't believe always what your brain tells you. That's kind of what virtual reality teaches you. And so when you hear these scary things, like I see the same thing with the charts. Like if there's charts on the coronavirus spread, I'm thinking that's the same thing they do with the climate alarmism stuff. They show, the temperature increase, like it's red hot in all these places. And it's like, what are you talking about? So they show these big red spots where the coronavirus is spreading. And it's so misleading. It's so misleading about what the real problem is. Like I said, I would be very happy to do all of these things if I knew people who were dying. I don't know anybody who's died. I don't really even know anybody who's gotten this coronavirus. It's like we're shutting down our economy. We're screwing everything up. For what? For what? But I'm not faulting President Trump on this. I really don't see that he had any choice. I really don't. But it made me think of moving to Texas, I gotta tell you, because I like the fact that Texas has not shut down restaurants and all that. But what is with pretty boy Newsom? And I mean, it's, and I also was listening to Governor Inslee in Washington this morning. He is a climate change crazy dude. I mean, I was listening to him. He's he's so bad. So he's doing the same thing. It's like, okay, here's another thing I want to say about this. And this gets back into what makes life worth living. I was very glad to read Atul Gawande's book called On Being Mortal. I don't recall what the title was. But I like his stuff. I've read a lot of his books. And this was about what bothers older people at the end of their life. If we put so much emphasis on keeping them safe and healthy, that's not what they really care about. What they really care about is autonomy. That's why so many of them keep saying, I want to go home, I want to go home. Because they're told what they can and cannot do, what they can and cannot eat, and the younger people in their lives that are taking care of them are so overly focused on keeping them safe, keeping them healthy, that they forget what's important. And this thought crossed my mind when I thought about those people in the nursing homes. I do understand that you don't want to spread, but what else do they have if they can't have their family visits? You just want to keep them alive? Is that all there is? We're all going to die at some point. But if you can't see your loved ones, I don't get that. Anyway, Atul Gawande's book was very good. Because I tend to be kind of, a health nut and stuff. And Harold always liked his sweets. And I would try to, I didn't stop him, but I would say, really, do you have to do that? But I changed my mind after that. I thought, hey, it's his life, whatever he wants, okay? Maybe at the end of the life, it doesn't matter to him. I want him to have autonomy where he can make his own choices. And that was a really important book for me to read. And I remember Atul Gawande because when I was working on the Clinton campaign in Little Rock, he was part of the issue staff. And he was a medical student at the time. And he sat ahead of me, and I remembered him as a tall, very quiet and dignified man from India, or of Indian extract. But he wasn't rowdy like the others. And I always liked saying good morning to him and how you doing, and so then when I saw him starting to write books and articles, I always got great insight from them. That's Atul Gawande. And I did get to see him. He was a keynote speaker at Caltech commencement. And so at the luncheon at the president's house, which I go to, I don't go to the commencement, but I do go to the luncheon because it's fun. I got to talk to him. And he remembered about the campaign, he remembered me, and it was fun. It was fun. Anyway, so I think that's about it for today. I keep thinking of things all day long, and I am happy. This is different. I encouraged my niece Lindsay's doing fine. So I was talking to the 3 kids. They're so cute, and they're having fun. And I said, someday when you get older, your grandkids are going to ask you what you did, what happened at this big lockdown thing that they read about in their history books. So I encouraged Lindsay to have them write down their thoughts about it. Because I told them, I remember when President Kennedy was killed. It was like in 4th grade. I remember what the teachers did. But it would have been cool if I'd written down my thoughts, or somebody had told me to do that, like an essay. So I hope they do that. But eyes were wide, like little Kaylee, like, me, a grandmother someday? But, we're going to learn a lot from this. I think a lot of the smart techniques, but this is life. This is what's going to happen. There's going to be craziness. It's up to us individually to do what we can do, but you don't have to be afraid. I refuse to be afraid. I refuse to be afraid. And we'll get through this. I am so, so, so glad that Donald Trump is our president. I just love the way he really picked up on that malaria treatment and said, yeah, he's optimistic about it. He's happy about that. Let's do it. He's got a way to get that federal bureaucracy to move and a way of seeing the big picture. So I actually feel that he'll know when to stop all this, and he'll find a way to get our economy back on track. And meanwhile, those Democrats are just trying to use this as a way to implement all their policies. We just got to stop this. And those that China government, oh boy, they're bad. They're bad. And this has been a big, big wake-up call. So we'll get through this. I'll be very interested in hearing your thoughts. I've responded to pretty much everybody last time, because that's important to me. I love hearing from you. You're all my friends, and thank you for this privilege. It's a real privilege.